Hey guys, welcome back. Andrew here with Ambient Endeavors, and today we're checking out this cool quirky guitar, the Squier Paranormal Jazzmaster 12-string. Now, I have been playing guitar for over 20 years now. Man, that's kind of a trip. And at this point in my career and my life and my relationship with music, I'm kind of always eyeing something that takes me out of my comfort zone, that can infuse some unique characteristics and textures and angles to my writing and my music. And so I was really excited to see when Squier announced these 12-string Jazzmasters. I reached out and they were kind enough to send one over for this review and to use on the channel, and so here we are, we're doing it. 12 strings kind of have their place in music, and probably not in the genres or the styles that I tend to play, but that's the challenge, and that's sort of the unique fit for this guitar in the collection now, is to find ways to use it in my writing and my playing. The intro sketch was kind of a cool way to just sort of dive headfirst into the 12 string to use it on kind of a post-rock sounding piece, and I love the textures. I love the kind of like chimey sparkle that you get with the octave intervals on some of these strings. Really does a cool thing to thicken and also add almost this like pog pitch shift kind of effect without even adding pedals. So it's a really cool way to do that. You can also, use it very sparingly in lots of different genres of music to add some thicker reinforcement to lead lines, or to just add a unique flavor and timbre to rhythm parts too. So if you are new to 12-string guitars like I more or less was, this is how they're tuned. The low 4 strings are octave intervals, so you get the traditional guitar strings on the E, A, D, and G, and then the secondary strings are octave up from there. Then the B and the E string are unison, so you get the same guitar pitched strings for the B and the E string, just 2 of them. And then the high strings are just thicker sounding guitar strings. And what happens too is that as you pick the strings, and if there's slight variations in tuning between the 2 strings for each note, you'll get that sort of chorusy effect where there's a slight amount of dissonance, but it's still pleasing and sort of a cool effect in its own way. So that's sort of the magic of a 12-string guitar. That's kind of why I think it's so cool, as a layer or an instrument to add to your arrangement or your mix. So we're going to dive into this guitar. I'm going to quit rambling about sort of why I'm so excited to have it in the collection, and we'll go through specs and then let you hear some of the different sound samples from this guitar in different contexts. So it's obviously a Jazzmaster body with a really nice gloss maple neck, a C-shaped on that. You have a laurel fretboard with narrow, tall frets. One of my favorite parts, the quirkiness of this guitar, is this hockey stick headstock. You'll see that on, I believe, the old 12 strings from I think the 60s when Fender was doing some of those, and some just obscure Fender models that they brought this back for this model, and I think it's a really cool flair to this 12-string guitar. You have a poplar body. You've got 2 Jazzmaster style pickups, Alnico pickups here. I love that they used witch hat knobs, really small detail, but a really just classy way to present this aesthetically with the knobs. 3-way switch to select between the pickups, and a custom 12-string bridge and saddle here, a hardtail there, where the strings just sort of go through the back of the bridge. And yeah, it is, as you'd expect, a little bit heavier than a normal guitar, but not unbearable by any means. It's still pretty comfortable to play, and I've been pretty impressed. I've had it in for a couple weeks. Played it on a few things, and the tuning stability seems pretty solid. There's a couple of the tuning heads that are a little bit sticky, but as I come back to the guitar and play it, the tuning seems to be staying in tune pretty well from the get-go here, so that's a good sign. Otherwise, it really kind of passes the smell test. From the start, it's felt and played really comfortably. The action is nice and manageable, and it is sounding great. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to show you some sound samples from this guitar. You can check back to the intro sketch to kind of hear it in context too, with a bunch of different tones and voicings and things there. And please check back to the channel here or Instagram. I'm going to try and fit this into as much of my writing as I can. I'm really excited to have it in here and find spots for it to be an accent piece or a focal piece of pieces and songs and stuff going forward. We'll run it through the pedal board. I'm using a few more textural pedals at the front end. I've got a Revv amps tilt boost that does a really nice job of kind of coaxing out a little more brightness and sort of shaping the top end of tone with that tilt EQ. I'm also using a 1981 LVL for some slight overdrive. I'm going to use a Horothia Effects Type 1 for some chorus sounds, and then either a Strymon Brigadier or a Volante for delay, and Strymon Flint for reverb. Gonna run all those into a UA Dream 65 as our amp and see what happens. Check it out.